welcome everyone to the Fairfield High School Athletics Alumni Banquet. Those of you that don't know, my name is Will Mosley, and I am the Master of Ceremonies for this evening. I've done it for the last 7 years. It's not only a great night, it's vital to the survival of our sports. Those of you that have been Thank you. Those of you that have been on the ground floor, meaning coached recently within the last 10 to 15 years, the state of athletics in Fairfield has been on life support at times. Financially, physically with the bodies, academics, all different ways. And this event is a key cog in the fundraising effort of the Fairfield Booster Club. So I'd like to thank a few people before we get into the program. First, she's probably running around somewhere. I'd like to thank the president of the Booster Club, Anita Horvath. I also like to thank the treasurer of the Booster Club, Valerie Bible. She's back there. I'd also like to thank Dr. William Cushman, principal at Fairfield High School, who's fighting a good fight. And also our videographer for the night, Keith Welch Jr. He's seen at all the events. It's wonderful because he brings us right into the next one. So tonight, and I was talking to a couple people, and I think by far this is probably the most well-attended alumni by inducted. So if you're an inducted alumni, please stand up. We want to honor you right now. Please stand up. So just getting you in the mood for what's going to happen here. I see a lot of familiar faces, understand what we do, but for me, this is a wonderful time. I'm in a great position. I've been an athlete at the school. I've been a coach at the school. I've been a parent at the school, and I've also covered the school for the newspaper. So I've seen sports from all different perspectives. I was a little brother at the school. That's another one. So many different ways to look at everybody that comes on the stage and the impact that they've had on the generations that come behind them. Because that's kind of what we're all here for. Whether we're a family or not, we're in a community. And that community's job is to make the community thrive. And the way you thrive is by feeding young people and giving them the opportunity to do great things. So we're going to get this program started with a member of the first section champions at Fairfield High School. There's been a lot of section champions here, but this first inductee, whose words of wisdom are celebrate your accomplishments no matter what they might be. It's important that all sports are represented. I'm really familiar with the ball sports, and I know water polo is a ball sport too, but it's kind of like a quasi sport, right? With the little. No, it's hard. It's very difficult. No, listen. I don't mean quasi in the athletic ability. I mean like you have to be really, really confident to wear Speedos. And so I'm just being real with you. Like in order to wear Speedos, you got to be really confident. So you do have to be able to swim. You do have. I can't swim, and I jumped off the high dive. What you talking about? Our first inductee is Gary Miller, 1979, and to bring him to the stage, we're going to have Ro Davis come up to introduce Gary. Ro Davis.
It's a hard act to follow as far as the comedy. I'm not going to be able to deal with that, but I haven't heard that one for a while. I know as far as being confident enough to wear Speedos, that's as the water polo guys would say, totally off the cuff here. It's not part of my speech, but is that one of the games that we had in particular at San Ramon High School so many years ago and so on, as I pointed out a few years ago, 2 suits was not enough for our guys. water polo players typically will always wear 2 suits in case something happens to one of them, and they've got a backup. That didn't work against San Ramon that day. So at any rate, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that Gary asked me to introduce him. Before I get to him, I want to just give a shout out and a little bit of recognition to a couple people. First of all, both of which are going to be recognized and inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. Number one is Al Pimentel. I don't see anybody probably that remembers me when I coached and taught at Fairfield High School, but when in that little tiny PE office, which I think is still being used, is it not? I'm not sure for PE, but my desk mate, the person right next to my desk that I was assigned to when I was a young teacher in 1974 was Al Pimentel. And Al, of course, had been in teaching for a number of years at that point in time, but it was not like he looked down at me and so on. He essentially became my mentor, my friend, and gave me lots of advice, and every time I came in from a long practice or a hard swim meet or whatever, he was always asking me, how was it going? How'd you do at the swim meet last weekend, and so on. So I'll never forget Al. He was always there to provide me for the assistance, and again, particularly being a mentor. First time teaching for me at Fairfield High School other than my student teaching, so it was a big plus. Thank you, Al. I also want to mention someone who I'm sure most of you know, Nancy Moore. If not, so Nancy and I go back, about 43, 44 years. I was going to count them up. Nancy said, no, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't count up the years. But at any rate, as everyone knows, Nancy, of course, essentially is the institutional memory for Fairfield High School athletics. If not Fairfield Kissimmee Unified School District, for that matter. Teacher, coach, counselor, statistician, scorekeeper, chief recruiter for the swimming and water polo teams. When she was at Sullivan, she'd always say, Rose, there's somebody coming up who's in 8th grade. You really want to grab them in the PE class that first year. Colleague, lifelong friend, co-coach in so many ways, both for Fairfield High School as well as Solano Aquatic that we both worked with at that point in time. So again, I want to thank Nancy on behalf of Mary and I, and I'm sure that you're going to get some recognition here that is long overdue and well deserved for you. Thank you, Nancy. So now I've been asked to tell some lies about Gary Miller. Okay. And his wife is here, his kids are here, so I'm going to have to do it as quickly as I can and try not to be too obvious with the lies. But I have to tell an anecdote. 2007, I hadn't seen Gary for many, many years. I think we ran into each other at an alumni water polo game when the Fairfield alumni, especially the 77 championship, section championship team played the varsity at that time, back in probably 82, 83, I think it was, Gary. But at any rate, in 2007, my wife and I and a couple other people that we were traveling with were down at Disneyland. All right, we've been at Disneyland, we go to the ESPN zone. Somebody taps me on the shoulder. It's Gary Miller. Hadn't seen him in many, many years. It's one of those things, you run into somebody you know at Disneyland, much less at the ESPN zone. Amazing. And it kind of, I think Gary would agree, it's kind of, especially after we just found out that we had another common interest as far as, probably shouldn't share that right now and open it. About a former girlfriend. No, I won't do that. Okay, moving on. You can talk to me later if you'd like, and I'll be glad to share that. Anyway, one of the things, first of all, that Gary wanted me to lie about is he was a star basketball player, and the only reason he went out for water polo and swimming is he wanted to help us out, get to be a better program in water polo and swimming. He gave up a great career in basketball and so on. And so we always laugh, and at some point in time, as I recall, you and Don McCormick and a few others would leave little rocks and so on. It still probably happens at Fairfield High School gym, so the crash door doesn't shut all the way. Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, whatever, when you're supposed to be in church, certain players or certain people, students would sneak in having placed the rock there and play basketball, pick up basketball. That was Gary, as well as a number of other people from our water polo and swimming teams. Always wannabe. So fortunately, though, Gary did focus on swimming and water polo. It was a great group that we had back in 74 to 78. It's probably as good a group that the high school's ever had, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I know there's been some great aquatics athletes at Fairfield High School in since, but this was a group, again, my first group, and I didn't screw them up too badly. I somehow managed to get the best out of them. People, McCormick, Ryland, Trepanier, and these are just to mention a few: Keeley, Morin, Conyers, Eisen, Jordan, Shields, Trotsky. A lot of great athletes, and that's just a few. And a lot of great parents supported those great athletes as well. But Gary was a special athlete. Initially taught to swim by former mayor of Fairfield, Gary Filati, down at the old community pool. I'm sure some of you probably remember Gary. Arrived at Fairfield High School. Gary arrived at Fairfield High School a year after I had been there. So as I pointed out a few minutes ago, I had gotten a year's worth of experience, and I was able to at least to handle the kids without them getting out of practice and walking off and so on. So at any rate, we'd improved in 74 and 75, but by the time Gary got there, right, with his assistance, of course, we were certainly a lot better off. Swimming team. First year that Gary was there, even though he was a freshman, we ended up winning, all right, the league championships, the old Delta League. No longer, of course, Fairfield's no longer in that. Beating Davis High School, which was an all-time aquatics power, major upset. And that was the last time, of course, we had Davis in the same league. But we went on to win consecutive championships in the Monticello Empire League, with Gary's assistance. Individually, as far as swimming, and I'll get to water polo in a couple minutes. League champion, Gary was league champion, 1500 free, 200 medley relay, 400 free, section finalists, multiple section finalists, school record holder in 5 of the 10 swimming events at one point in time. When Gary graduated from high school in Fairfield in 79, he was the school record holder in 5 events. Now that's not the same as just sprints and so on. There was actually some other events where he had to go 200 yards, 200 IM and so on. So Gary could actually do more than just sprint. All right? I know he's got a good friend here from Chico State days when he swam up there and so on. And I should mention that I'm not sure if the school record board is still up there, but last I saw pictures of it that Nancy forwarded and so on. I think that either Nancy took them or Eddie took the pictures and so on. Gary's name is still up on the record board along with some other people. All right, there are 42 or 43-year-old records. All right, they're still the valid records. 200 medley relay course goes back 42 years. That's Jeff McCormick, Stu Island. Stu is here. All right, Jeff's parents are here. Scott Henson in butterfly. All right, and Gary Miller anchoring freestyle. 42-year-old record. 400 free relay, Bob Ness, Don McCormick, Ed Marin, Gary Miller, 42, 43 years old. And Gary still manages to have a soft record. I'm not sure about that. And 50 free. We probably need to go back and check the records on that. I'm sure somebody's broken that record by now.
Don't tell anybody.
All right. Water polo. Gary was one of those players, and I've coached a lot of years, a lot of different high schools after I left Fairfield. But he was a special player. When we were able to add him to his team, our team, we were 14-9 his first year playing water polo. He certainly wasn't the only water polo player on the team. We had a lot of great players. Again, Stu and Scott are here tonight as well. But 14-9, 4th place in sections. That had never been done at Fairfield High School. The next year we were 18-9 and moved up one more spot to 3rd place. The following year, Gary's junior year, we were 28-8 section champions. As already been pointed out by Will, we were the first ever Fairfield High School team to win a section championship. And that record, 28-8, it wasn't that we were just playing teams in this area. We were playing teams from the Bay Area and so on. So we ultimately were playing the best that we could certainly find as far as competitive schedule. Gary was first team all section He was an All-American in water polo, along with other players that year. The winning team that won the section championship in the fall of 1977, we had 4 All-American players. I don't believe that's ever been done since. I'm not sure. But certainly, it was a great team. After Fairfield High School, Gary went on to swim at Solano Solano College, where he was Hall of Fame member, all right, school records, 1,500 free, Gary, is that right? Yeah. And was also selected All-American at Solano College. Then went on to Chico State, where he was also All-American, Division II All-American, and swam 100 free, 400 medley relay, and 400 free. Great career, but there's more to Gary than just the athletic accomplishments, and it certainly it's been great for me to see him again tonight, and I saw him a couple of years ago as well at this function. But he was a leader by example. Certainly once I had the opportunity to encourage him to do a little bit more work and so on in a training sense and whatever. A leader by example, and he's one of those guys, especially in the water polo sense, but swimming as well, that when we needed something to happen, all right, a crucial goal at a crucial point in time and so on, somehow Gary Miller was always going to be involved, whether it was passing to Don McCormick or to Stu Ryland, or whether it was receiving a pass from them and so on. He was always in a position to make something positive happen for our team. I've been coaching, again, a long time, and as I look back on it, I've got a lot of favorites, but this team, this Fairfield High School team, whether they be female or male, certainly holds a really close place in my heart, all right? And Gary Miller is at the top of the list. Successful father, all right? Successful family man, all right? But more importantly, a special person, all right, dear to my heart, Gary Miller.
No, I want to look at it.
Oh, there you go.
No, I'm joking.
That's a fingerprint.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight. That's all the time we have. So, thank you very much, Ro, for that very, very nice introduction. I hope my wife taped every minute of that so I can play it back to her when we argue. Ro was actually... He was inducted into the same Hall of Fame 2 years ago, and he came for that, so congratulations to Ro. And I want to also thank the Fairfield High Athletic Hall of Fame Committee for this award, and to the Fairfield Athletic Boosters for putting on this great event tonight. Okay. Also, congratulations to all of the other inductees being honored tonight. I'm very proud to be included with them. Well deserved to you all. I'd like to recognize some important people who came here tonight to support me. Ro and his wife Nancy. Mary, excuse me. Ro and his wife Mary. Good thing I have notes. My wife Nancy, no, my wife Anne Marie. I got you on my mind. My daughter Sarah and my son John. Rob Salmon's here. Rob and I have known each other since 7th grade at Sullivan. We were playing basketball together. Rob was an outstanding athlete in his own right, playing football and baseball at Fairfield High School. He played baseball under Coach Pimentel. Tom Harville is here. He's my buddy from Chico State. I swam with Tom at Chico. If you looked at tonight's program, it said that I had the 16th fastest time in Chico State history. Tom has the fastest time in Chico State history. So. Scott Hansen's here with his wife Kimberly. Thank you for coming. Stu, Teresa, they're here. Bryce, the McCormicks. This is such a treat. Tony Foster's here. Tony, you need to be up here next year giving this speech. I swear to God, you do. If there's anybody else I missed, I'm sorry, but I think that's it. It really means a lot to me that you guys are here tonight, and thank you for your support. I'm also proud to be joining the other swimmers and the other water polo players who have already been inducted before me, specifically the ones that I swam with: Stu Ryland, Jeff McCormick, Don McCormick, Myra Trotsky, she's a person that I also swam with and went through the program with. And you know, it's such an honor for me to have Ro here in person to speak on my behalf, since he was my actual coach and my water polo coach during the whole time I was at Fairfield High School. Luckily for me, Ro and Mary now live in Davis to be closer to the grandkids, so it wasn't too far for them to come back to Fairfield. I also want to recognize Coach Nancy Moore, who is also being inducted tonight. It's just a treat for me to have them both here tonight at the same time, especially after 40 years. I mean, that's really special. So, Ro and Coach Nancy basically built the swimming and water polo program at Fairfield High School, and they put Fairfield High on the map as a serious contender. Back when I swam, Ro was the coach for everything that involved the pool. He coached the Fairfield High School water polo team in the fall, and he coached the swim team in the springtime. And then during the summertime, he was the coach of the club teams that we had for swimming and water polo too, with the Solano Aquatic Club. Nowadays, you really can't say that if you guys have kids that are involved with any kind of a sports program. Most schools, like my kids, they have different coaches for high school swimming and high school water polo, and different coaches for their club teams. So, Ro had my butt in the pool for 365 days a year for 4 years straight. Same coach every day. Same coach every practice. Same coach every swimming and polo game. And Nancy was there too to make sure I finished every lap. But you know what? I couldn't have asked for a better way to go through high school. I loved it. And I soaked it all up, pun intended. Well, I didn't love the 6 a.m. morning practices in the middle of February in the rain, but everything else. I can count on one hand, okay, maybe two hands, how many times I missed practice in 4 years. I didn't want to miss anything, and I didn't want to disappoint the coaches. Ro and Nancy created a positive environment where a group of kids from high school could get together every day after school, work hard, and then be rewarded by knowing that they did their best. Our coaches were smart, they were honest, and they were fair. They were also tough and expect you to give your best, and when you didn't, they weren't afraid to tell you to get your butt in gear. Coach Nancy actually has a very nice way of letting me know this by yelling my name out in a particular way. What was it, Nancy? Milla! Okay, I better swim harder. You know, and it wasn't only the coaches that I saw all the time, too, during that time. It was all the other kids that I swam with or played water polo with. They were my teammates who became my best friends. Stu, Scott, Jeff, Don, Kenny, Maurice, Ed, Randy, Mouse, Phil, Paul, Del, Bryce, Chris. These guys were all together. We were all together for that long. We either got together or we didn't, and thank God we all got along together. Okay? You know, since we were on a club team, I also swam with some of the best swimmers from Armio as well. So it was just like one big swimming community. I was very fortunate to have this at Fairfield High School, and I was very fortunate to have coaches who really and truly cared about their kids. Not really realizing this at the time, we had some great teams, and looking back on it now, it makes me really, truly appreciate the incredible group of people we had and how fortunate I was to have spent all those years with them. Coaches have such a powerful impact on your lives. It can be good, and it can be bad. And thank God for me, it was all good. How many people here remember a special thing or something that a coach said to you while you were working out with them or in a practice with them during your playing years that has stuck with you? Right? Yep. Good experiences and positive role models will carry with you throughout your lives. And it's not only the coaches, everyone who deals with kids and young adults makes an impact. Pretty much everyone in this room can have an impact. And don't ever underestimate the impact that you will have over these people. The other thing I wanted to say was what I had on my saying was celebrate your accomplishments no matter what they are. Even when I got this notification about being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I immediately downplayed it. And I said, oh, they must be running out of people, or they had to go way back for this one, you know. But then I caught myself and I thought, that's not right. You know, if that's true, then I'm dismissing all the accomplishments that all the other inductees who are here tonight have made them for themselves as well. So I would never think about that, you know, that way about the other people that are here tonight. So why would I think that about me, right? I'm very proud to be inducted into this Hall of Fame, and I'm proud to be the first athlete from the class of 1979 to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, Tony Foster, Walter Cody's over here. I can see you guys. You guys got to be up here. Hint, hint, selection committee. You know, both of my kids are swimmers. I think one of the key things is to recognize your accomplishments. And I was talking to Ro earlier, but it's very hard to, at this age, recognize your accomplishments while they're happening. So that's why we need to have that reinforcement from the people that surround them and the people that love them. Both of my kids are swimmers. They found the sport in their own way, but once they got into it, I really nailed them to the wall. You know, my son John, he swam JV this past year and had a goal to break 1 minute in 100 free. At one meet, the varsity swimmers had already swam and posted some really good times, so John was in the next event after that. And then when he swam his race, and he finished with a time of 59.6. That's better than, you know, right? And so even though he was seconds off the winning time, he raised both of his hands in the air and yelled out, yeah! You know? So celebrate that. You know, my daughter Sarah, she had a 50 fly record set when she was 12 years old for the Aqua Bears rec group in San Ramon when she was 12. She always says that she peaked when she was 12. I doubt that. And I could tell that she was very, very proud of that accomplishment. Incidentally, that record was broken this year by another little 12-year-old. And when Sarah went up to congratulate her and said, hey, you broke my record, congratulations, the little girl went, oh, I'm sorry. So celebrate your achievements and celebrate the people that you really want to be around, okay? Lastly, I want to thank and recognize my wife, Anne Marie. It'll be 25 years next month, and I'm not exactly sure how you did it. I believe our kids are who they are today because of you. You created a happy home and a place to make me feel confident and loved and okay. Again, thank you. Thank you to all the other inductees tonight that are being honored. This really, really means a lot to me. Thank you. Grab all my stuff.
Okay. 13 pages of notes.
Yeah. Got to it in what? 14 minutes?
Once again, Gary Miller. Okay. Are these yours, Gary?
I didn't even read them.
And he continues to set records. Him and Roe, the longest relay speeches of the night so far. All right. Our next inductee is one of those that falls in between. He's after my brother, who's 89, and before me in the 90s, and you know, and you know, it's one of those things where I didn't play football and run track, but I went to all of the events, and that's why we're here, because there was a time, and you know, it began in 79, 89. There was a time when the greatest show on earth was at Fairfield High during every season, right? So this next inductee, I had a chance to get to know him after graduation. I didn't really get a chance to go to school with him, but I was able to see who he is as a man. And we used to call him Junior, right? We called him Junior Nixon was what we called him. But he's Willie Nixon Jr. and he graduated in 1990. And his words of wisdom, and this is something that he lives by this day, Mr. Willie West, and inspiring people no matter their age, no matter how much they weigh, no matter how they can move, inspiring people every day to be their best selves. Is business first, play later. Champions train when no one is looking, and that's what he's dedicated his life to. And I see him on the streets, I see him at the park at 5 a.m, different things like that, and he does that in his life, and that started in school. And he was a state meet track runner. He's a running back that would run you over and run away from you. He was a tireless worker, 1,000-yard rusher, and then the 200. I love the 200. I mean, the 100's fun, but the 200 coming around that corner, seeing somebody go is a thing to behold. And that was just the beginning. He used his athleticism to get him to Grambling. Right, he went from Solano to Grambling, which is a historically black college, and for a lot of young people growing up in California, being able to have that experience, joining a fraternity and coming back to California and doing the things he do is a testament to who he is as an athlete. So without further ado, Willie Nixon Jr.
See, can't say anything now. I'm speechless. I'm gonna make an excuse because I've been working really hard this week. You know, I don't have any voice, so instructing and let's go. Push a couple more. No, thank you all for inducting me, the committee. I'm speechless. The days leading up to this, I thought, okay, I'll say this, I'll say that. I left my pad at home. I had all these words on there, maybe I'll mention this person and mention that person, but nothing really would come out right. It wouldn't come out on the paper right. I didn't know what to say, but I will say this. When I got to Fairfield High, I walked into the locker room and seen these guys in there, and they were moving side to side, very fast, motivated, screaming, intimidating, all the night. And I said, whoa, I'm at home. And some of those guys brought me in. Some of those guys tried to kick me to the side. But I kept going, pushing. And with all that, we developed this family. But the way that the family developed, and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. When I walked in, I seen Coach Hood, Coach Davis, Coach Sykes, Coach Daly, some of those brothers right there. I'm telling you, they'll get you in the training room, they'll get you on the athletic field, and they say, all right, here we go. This is what we want to see. This is what we want you to do. And at Fairfield High, that's what we did. And there was, and all the kids that I played with, I'm not just up here being inducted because of my accomplishments. It's because of the boys and the girls that I met, and from 86 to 1990, we worked hard, and we worked hard every morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, we were either at somebody's house with lifting weights, or we in the weight room lifting weights. Lunchtime, we were trying to figure it out, lifting some weights. We were on our 10 speeds, riding from Travis Air Force Base to back to do whatever we had to do to be the best. And that's what our coaches taught us, is, look, if you work hard, they didn't really talk about being undefeated or winning championships or anything like that, but the work they required us to do just made us the athletes that we became. And it's just, this is all a testament to all the great athletes that are in here, and I'm just proud to be a part. I'm happy today that I can stand before my peers, stand before those that came before me, those that are coming after me. Because just this evening, my son had a football game, and my kids, they're the ones that are going to be the ones. It wasn't me, and you know, my mom brought us here. We're from here, Susoon, and just steps away is the maze, and that's where we come from. The salute, yes, the OS, Old Susoon, and my mom. When I got in trouble, I'll just say this: I got in trouble around the 8th grade, and you know, from juvenile hall, you know, my mom, the Lord must have put it on my mom. We're moving, so we moved to Fairfield, and once I got out of juvenile hall and all that stuff, and went through the probation process and the whole nine, but I never stopped playing sports. I never got off my 10-speed. I never stopped doing the things that I knew that was going to make me or to get me to college, so I can get a degree, become a businessman. Really, I want to become a doctor, then a businessman. Those things didn't happen. I am a businessman, not a doctor, but I do therapy. But the thing about it is, I got there. I was able to get there, and by getting there, you know, through prayer, through the coaches, through Miss Moore, Miss Moore's pretty much brought all of us through this thing. You know, I have this white towel right here. Miss Moore used to make us all towels. Okay, I have a towel and it has 22 Junior Nixon on there. My brother-in-law wouldn't give it back to me. So you know, so I brought this towel in representation because I'm going into the hall with Miss Moore. This it couldn't be a more special time than this. And I want to say thank you to Miss Moore. Thank you, Coach Hood. Thank you, Mama. Thank you to my family, my kids, my high school sweethearts are still here, guys. 30 years. You're right back here. Yeah. So with all that, I just want to say congratulations to all the inductees, and I just feel special because I know if you win at Fairfield High, you really worked hard to win. It just wasn't just it just wasn't an easy cakewalk. And I see Ray, Tone, Rich, you know, Byron. I see all the guys that I came up with, you know, Brother Chris right there. And, you know, we really put in some hard work to get to where we needed to go to try to win at Fairfield, you know. And I'm going to leave, but I'm going to say this one thing. I'm a trainer. And, you know, one time me and Tone was working out. And Tone said, "How you do this, June?" And I brought Tone in for a workout. I've been training people since high school. Tone came in and said, "June, I ain't never gonna mess with you again." but now I take a therapeutic approach. You know, I don't try to just wear everybody's muscles out all in one workout. It takes about 6 months. No, but thank you guys. Thank you very much. And to all the inductees and to all those that came before me and to all those that are going to be inducted at some point, congratulations. And I appreciate it. This is big. This is Fairfield High.
Our next inductee, I've been waiting for this for a while, okay? Because I've been doing the induction for a while. And so every time we have softball, it's a pitcher. It's a pitcher. Yes, I know pitching is important in softball. I get it. But have you ever tried to catch? No, I'm being real. Like, anybody here get down in the squad and let somebody throw it as hard? Okay, maybe like 6 people. Okay, good. All right. I try to catch, but you know, I had a long career, okay? And someone who was very important told me that if you caught, I'll represent you and you'll make a lot of money. And I said no, because I'm afraid of the ball. And so what I mean is every time somebody swung, I was just like this. Now, I might catch it, but I wasn't a catcher, right? So for me, it's just, I'm so pleased because, like, you can't have Hall of Fame pitchers without Hall of Fame catching. You can't. It just does not work that way. So, this is one of the wonderful things where I was actually at school during the same time this young lady was there, and I was good friends with one of the other Hall of Famers who was a pitcher, and every baseball player says, "Ooh, I can hit that." No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't. It's 40-something feet. It's coming underhand, and it moves and rises and all that stuff. So, it was very, very apparent that it took a special person to be able to catch that. And so, Heather Grayson Anderson, she was a big, big part of the dynasty, the softball. Like, we had a water polo dynasty, we had a basketball dynasty, we had a girls basketball dynasty. We also had a softball dynasty with USA, All-Americans, Pitcher Player of the Years, and all that stuff. But once again, somebody had to catch it. And Heather Grayson, although she played some first base her freshman year, she spent the majority of her time catching fastballs, catching rise balls, change-ups, sliders, all that. And so her words of wisdom are to play with heart and be a supportive teammate. And being a human backstop is probably the most supportive you can be in all of sports. So without further ado, Heather Grayson Anderson.
I'm going to cry, I'm sorry. I just want to thank the Hall of Fame committee and the boosters for putting this on and for this great honor. The reason why this is so emotional for me is because softball is something I did with my dad. And he's no longer with us, so it's just emotional for me that he's not here to celebrate this with me.
He's here.
I knew you were going to say that. This is a great honor. I was a part of one of the greatest teams at Fairfield High. We owe a lot to my best friend, who I've been playing softball with since I was 6. She's also a Hall of Fame inductee 2 years ago. So thank you, Leslie, for letting me be your human backstop. My favorite smell is still the ball field in the morning, first thing in the morning, getting up at the crack of dawn, getting out there, warming up before a game. There's nothing like it. I want to thank all my family that came out today, my brother and my sister, who I got to play with in high school, which was a treat. My husband and my daughter, who isn't a softball player, sad. Yeah, it's the whole time. My godmother and my godfather, my second dad, Bob, the Marleys, who always show up for me in the important times of my life and are always there for me. Coach Hauk, who I couldn't have been. Oh, everyone talked too much. Now I can't talk. Can you hear me? Yeah, it turned off. Everyone talked too much.
It's the water polo dude. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm loud. I can talk louder. I'm trying to be short, I promise. And I really want to recognize Mrs. Moore, like everyone else here, who not only was a support for you as an athlete, but also for you as a person. I just remember always a safe space. Always a safe space with us, Miss Moore. She made us towels, showed up at our games. Just, you couldn't ask for a better role model, someone to look up to strive to be like when you grow up. So thank you, Miss Moore, so much. And I'm going to cry again because the last person that I want to thank, I saved her for last. My mom, who drove me to every game. Always in the stands, always my biggest fan. I love you, Mama. Thank you. And congratulations to all the other inductees. I know what it takes to be a Hall of Fame athlete, and I commend you all for excelling in your sport. And congratulations, and thank you again.
He was one of my favorites. I was able to be around him at the beginning of his career when the legend began. High school sports are a little bit, there's certain rules usually. What happens is usually when you're a freshman, you're supposed to be on the JV team. You're supposed to get, tossed around a little bit by the older guys and pay your dues and then, get better. And then maybe if you're a good sophomore, then maybe you get a chance at varsity, but then you're a leader on the JV. No. Sometimes you just come in and you start from day one. And the next guy, he's just had one of the prettiest swings ever. I patterned my son's swing after his swing. Right-handed throw with the left-handed swing. To me, it's just one of the most pretty things. And just the way that he was able to produce. And that's the thing. It's one thing to be a freshman on varsity. They're going to struggle a little bit. You think they'll be overmatched. No, he came in. He's 14 years old and by far better than all the 18-year-olds we had on the team. He had a great attitude, great family, all that stuff. And his stats speak for itself. He's still up on the board for highest batting average and all doubles and triples and all these things that's really, really hard to do. He also played football for 4 years and managed not to break anything too bad. He was able to do both sports and then go on to play Division I baseball and finish out a career playing professional baseball. And like I said, it was one of those things where he matched the hype. Because you hear that as coaches, and like they were saying, good staffs, they know who's coming. They know, okay, we got this guy coming here, whatever. But when you put them on the field and they live up to expectations, that's a very, very rare thing. And on top of everything else, he smiled every day. He's one of the nicest, sweetest, mild-mannered guys you ever. I don't know if I might have seen you yell, but I don't know if it was out of anger. And to be able to have that temperament and produce and be the guy for all 4 years and be one of the best players in the history of the program says something about you. So our next inductee is Nicholas Baligar, class of 2006.
Well, I'm not the greatest at speeches, so this might be short, but I just want to thank everybody who put this together. This is awesome. It's a big honor to be a part of this Hall of Fame for Fairfield High. Growing up as a kid in Fairfield, never thought this would happen, but I just want to thank everybody. Second of all, I want to thank my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my kids, Gianna, Alani, my wife Sabrina, my father-in-law John, my mother-in-law Michelle, my grandparents George and Itsuko. I know they were there every second of every game. They never missed it. Sorry, I'm not good at this. But so where do I start? Without them, a lot of my success and achievements would not be possible. As a freshman at Fairfield High, I had the opportunity to play varsity baseball like Will was talking about. I remember how scared I was being, the youngest guy on the team and having all these upperclassmen, and how bad I wanted to play good and just compete with them. It wasn't easy. It was probably one of the scariest moments of my life. But, it was just humbling, if anything, but growing up, I had my father who was there for me. That time when I was a freshman, I had the opportunity to have him with me most of the time, and me and him would work late nights hitting, working out, and I just cherish those moments. Hard work was kind of the key success of me, my backbone of how well I played and everything like that. So Without my parents and my family, I wouldn't be here today. Also, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you for have a great night.
Every Olympic athlete has someone on their team that makes them an Olympic athlete. Every Division I athlete has another person on their team that makes them. And track and field is such a sport where you need to be pushed. And what I mean is, like, records aren't set on blowouts. Records are set when you're trying to beat the person that's next to you. And if that person is an elite athlete and you train next to that person every day for 4 years, then yeah, you're going to be great, but that person's going to be great too. And, this is the same year. I was at the school, just happy enough to be at the school at this time. And the track is right behind the baseball field, right? And when you see the type of athletes that were coming out at that point, it was must-see TV. So like I said, whether we have Dominique, and we have Keisha, right? They're both in the Hall of Fame. And like I said, Olympic athletes, Division I national champions. I mean, our next inductee was there with them every step of the way. Like every step of the way, literally. Pushing them to be great, pushing them to do that. And once again, she's one of those people with a smile on her face and very well spoken and always thank you and just one of the best people ever. I didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with her, but I knew, based on her 3.5 GPA, I knew if you get a full ride to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, you're pretty smart because that's a pretty good school. And then you do those types of things, good things are going to happen. She ended up at Central Florida, which is also a great school and a great place, except for when hurricanes are coming. But she's the women's assistant cross-country coach at American River College, still giving back. She probably can still outrun most of the girls out there. Without further ado, we're going to bring up Champelle Brown, 2004.
Hello, everyone. So first, I would like to thank God for, giving me the talents that I was able to cultivate, one of those being my athletic abilities, and also I was really serious about the classroom as well, my 3.5. Graduated from college with 3.5 as well, so. Also, as it was mentioned before, I was just at Fairfield during a really amazing time for track and field. Shout out to my sisters that aren't here that have already been inducted. Keisha Baker, Dominique Jackson, Sharina Lofton. Just an amazing team. And then other ones who hopefully you'll see up here one day. But just an amazing team. I'd like to thank everyone that came here to support me today. My mom, Toynia Brown right here. And my mom is definitely the reason why I ran track and field in the first place, because I was a really shy kid. She was the reason I started at the YMCA for basketball. I didn't really want to touch the ball. I just wanted to run up and down the court. So, kind of the beginnings of track and field, I guess you could say. But then, because I played basketball, I came into contact with Coach Ricky Swift, who is the reason that I ran track, because when I was a basketball player on JV, he said, "You're running track," and he picked my second sport for me, and it worked out because that's what I ended up doing, and I still run to this day. So thank you to Coach Ricky Swift, who is not here. Thank you to my dad, Tony Brown. My transportation. Track and field dad. He didn't have a van, but he was the reason why I got to where I need to be every day. Made sure I was fed. Loved me even when I was stubborn. Gave him a hard time. My sister, Jordan Brown, who's not here. Brother Rashad Brown, who's also not here. Thank you to my grandmother, Brenda Stokes, right here. The one, even though she did not compete as an athlete, is the reason why I am so athletic. Also, my love for reading came from her and was passed down to my mom. Thank you to Pastor Reynolds for coming out and supporting me today. And then, last but not least at my table is Coach Michael Reed. So, Coach Reed is the sprints coach at American River College for men's and women's track and field. And I competed against him when I was at Laney, but that did not stop him from being one of the most supportive people in my life. Thank you, Coach Reed, for taking me under your wing. Even though, I had to beat your athletes a little bit when I was running at Laney, but you didn't hold that against me. Love you, treats me like his own daughter, amazing man. Thank you to Mrs. Moore, who was my Spanish teacher when I was at Fairfield High. Mrs. Moore, Ms. Schwab, my Spanish teachers, Coach Wilson, Mrs. Merrick, my English teachers, John Patullo, my history teacher, Mr. Baston and Mr. Quinn in science. My teachers really poured into my life. The reason why, school for me was a great, great experience. I hope that any young people that are come up get a chance to have teachers and educators that are as amazing as they are. They're actually the reason why I started in education, even though I'm a business major. Most of my career has been in education, so thank you to the amazing educators that inspired me to do that. Also, make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Ricky Smith, my coaches from college. Curtis Taylor, who's now the sprints coach at Oregon. Coached me when I was at Laney. Gave me my first taste of success as a state champion when I was at Laney College. Kind of the person that took me out of the background and, taught me to be a champion. Carol Smith Gilbert, who's the director of track and field at USC now, is my coach when I was at Central Florida. Thank you to her being just like a boss of a woman, showing me just like really how, what can be achieved when you put your mind to it. Just thank you everyone that poured into me. Thank you to the boosters and Hall of Fame inductee, Hall of Fame, not board, committee, thank you, for putting this together. The food was amazing. It was really good. Best banquet food I've ever had. Beautiful venue. And then also, thank you to Fairfield High Athletics. It was just, I would say, the years, also, I'm class of 07, not class of 06. So, had an extra year at Fairfield High. 06 was great, but I was 07. Thank you to everyone that supported athletics while I was there and that continues to support it. I know that there are many young people that will have a chance to, go up and be our leaders because we have amazing sports in there. I hope we continue to pump funds into sports because it really does make a huge difference. I know that without sports, I definitely want to have the money to go on to college and get my degrees and, even hope to get a master's and possibly a doctorate one day. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to the inductees for being amazing. Thank you to the families that came out to support them. And, I'm eternally grateful. Thank you.
Yep, she's still fast. The next inductee, it was one of the reasons why I was so excited about playing baseball at Fairfield High School. Some of you know the story. We're from Kansas City, Missouri, and we moved out here and it was funny because people don't believe me, but we moved out here for one reason and one reason only. So my brother could play high school baseball. Because where we lived, they didn't have high school baseball. They only had summer baseball. They didn't have baseball, so they didn't have it. It was just because the weather, the city, they just didn't have high school baseball. So, the reason we moved out here is to play high school baseball, and Coach Pimentel cut my brother. But, hey, he was his freshman basketball coach and said, hey, you need to just stay in the gym. Which, wasn't really... Yeah, right. He just helped him out, right? I told you my parents make you do all kind of things, stuff like that. So in my mind, we were moving out here, and I'm the little kid. I'm the little brother that's used as the ball now here. And I was fortunate enough to play for Coach Pimentel in one of his last years as a coach. And it was a really cool situation. I had already played a whole season of varsity baseball where I made all league. And I came back to Fairfield High, and I played JV. Yeah, it was humbling. It was humbling. I played for Coach Hood. I would go out and pitch and strike out 12 people, and we'd lose 10 to something because we made 15 errors. It was JV baseball. But here's the thing that I didn't know. Coach Pimentel was keeping up with me. He had seniors that he was loyal to, and I had to respect that. And as the season went on, I'm antsy. I'm like, dude, I played for Team USA, and I'm just in my mind, right? You're young, you think you're this, whatever. So we make the playoffs. Starting second baseman, who was a senior, sprains his ankle. He has 3 or 4 other people that are on that team that play that position, but he brought up a kid from JV to start in a playoff game at Tokay, and batted me second in the lineup. Didn't play one varsity game all regular season, and he brought me up there, and I was able to get a couple hits, and we didn't end up winning the game, and our season's over, and he just brought me over and he told me that I'm going to be great someday. He told me that this year was good for me and that I needed it, and that if it were all about just winning and just talent, then yeah, I would have been on varsity. But it was about being mature and learning how to be a leader and understanding that no matter how good you think you are, you cannot be anything unless you're with your team. And that's just something that I'll take with me forever, and it's just he's got a wonderful, wonderful resume. He's one of the original coaches at the school, but I'm going to go ahead and stop there, and I'm going to bring up Miss Yvonne Ricks, and she's going to go ahead and present for Coach Al Pimentel.
Hello, everyone. Good to see so many here. I want to thank Ro Davis for mentioning him at the beginning. Al was top notch. His family is sitting here in front of the podium. One day, Beverly, Al's wife, called me on the phone, and she says, "Hey, I would like to have you come to the induction ceremony, and you'll have to speak." Oh, where do I begin? And I, of course, said yes, because Al was a big part in my life as well as a lot of the athletes that are here, and some that are not here, but had him as well. I first met Al in 1966. He had come to Fairfield High School when it opened, so I'm not quite sure when that date was. But Al and I worked for 35 years together. I was department chairman for a while, and of course he was coaching like crazy. He coached baseball, as we all know. He coached frost football, cross country. What else did I have written down here? I'm kind of nervous today. Basketball, yes, thank you. Of course, he was heart and soul into baseball. He had all kinds of drills for those kids to use, and practice was not boring at all. He helped get the stadium in order. Unfortunately, there was not enough money to do all that Al really wanted to do to that place on the field by the track. Pardon me. When I first came to Fairfield High School, I had worked at a junior high school for a semester, covering for a pregnancy leave. And then I went to a school and the lower part of the Bay Area for a year. And then I came to Fairfield High School. And I was overwhelmed because the school was about 3 times larger than the one that I had taught at the beginning. And the athletic department was 10 strong, whereas the other school was about 3 strong. We had classes that were segregated, girls in one class, boys in the other. And that was kind of different, but soon after I got there, the classes became co-ed. Well, that gave me an opportunity to start working with some of the male teachers. And Al Pimentel was the one that really took me in and helped me out. He was gracious and he was helpful. He showed me the ropes, and I was really grateful for that because I was young, just got out of college, and the shakes that you get when you're starting, especially in a big high school like it was. Let me go on here with my catch up with my notes here. He had so many approaches to the kids. He was very calm, very interested, very encouraging. He was not confrontational, and the kids really loved him. And his humor was great. He used to tell little jokes or have little sayings about things, and it really made him endearing to them. And after a lot of these students had been in his classes, they came back after they had graduated to see him, to talk to him. He was like a counselor to him, to the kids. And that really made him endeared to the kids. So I'm way off my notes. Sorry. Let's see. I'm like the young man that was up here that didn't do this very often. He really had the desire to teach, and you could tell it. He was out there and he was encouraging the students to get up and quit, putting their marks in the sand by their rear end. I was very inspired by his methods of teaching, and he taught me a lot of material with which to teach. I'm blowing this. Sorry. I worked on this for about a month.
You're good.
Thank you. I think the thing that I want to impress upon people, whether you're here or elsewhere, Al Pimentel was one of the greatest men I had ever met. He treated me like an equal. He constantly asked how I was doing. We went to meetings together for athletics, and he was very poised and, not confrontational with them either. We had some rows going on with rules and people who wanted to get into the league that shouldn't have been, transferring one school to another, which was a big deal back then. I left in 1904, or 2004. Wait. Boy, that goes back, doesn't it? Correction, that was 2004. Whew, I wasn't even born then. Oh, holy moly. Well, and then there was Title IX. I don't know if you were aware of it, but in 1972, it came into existence where women, needed to be treated equally. And Al was a proponent for that law. He made sure that the girls on our teams and in the classes were getting their just dues. It's no wonder we have these athletes, women, like the young lady who was just up here, had the opportunity to get to where they are now. And that just really encourages. Is it working? Hello? 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 Okay, it's yell time. Oh, I must have pushed the wrong button. To get to his.
He might have done this one.
Okay. It's gone.
Let me just try a little bit more.
Okay. To get out of his teaching, because I think a lot of you already know what kind of teacher he was and what he tried to do and what his the feedback from the kids was as well. Al was an avid hunter, and he had a class in his community which he spent a lot of time in and with for hunter safety. Well, I have two sons, and my sons and I went to Al's class, and we all, including me, got our hunter safety certificate. So watch out, people. I know how to use them. So anyway, my sons, my younger son, who is now 48 years old, is still hunting. He hunts the big guys, bear, elk, deer. He hasn't got a moose yet. He's still working on that. But he lives up in the mountains in northern Idaho, so he's in a perfect place for that. Anyway, all his hunting results, he brings it home, he dresses it out. He has an uncle that helps him, got a big barn with a big pulley on it. And he eats his catch. So I think it's wonderful that he does this. And he has a young daughter and his wife, who's the RN, all eat the meat. But that's all because of Al. My oldest son, he's done with the hunting. He's got other things to do. But I really endear Al for helping me out because I was a single mother and I was scared to let my kids handle guns. So another thing that he loved was, of course, his baseball. But he, at home, Bev and he had an aviary in the backyard full of finches. And I remember the first couple of times I came over there, here's all these birds, chirp, 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 all over the place. And it really interested me because that's kind of a fun thing to do. Their backyard was beautiful. They did gardening, perfect for entertaining. I was able to accept invitations from the couple to have dinner with them frequently. We used to go out to lunch with a whole group of people. So it was fun. We got together and we really enjoyed each other. I'm going to cut this short because one thing I want to say is I'm sorry he's not here to be with all of you to accept their award. I think that his wife and his family would really enjoy having him here as well. He still lives in our hearts and our minds, and he's not easy to forget. I love that man, and I miss him. So he lives in me, and I know that he lives in his family.
Thank you first to the committee for recognizing Al and his accomplishments. Yes, we are sorry he's not here, but he would have loved it. And you'd get more than a 3 to 4 minute speech, I guarantee it. I want to also thank Yvonne. She was more than a colleague. She was a good friend. And she came from Idaho to do this. So I very deeply appreciate that. You young people didn't know Al, and hopefully some of you older ones remember him. Baseball was a part of his life from the time he was a kid until he finished college, and then went to Armio first, and then came here to Fairfield. But he started playing as a little kid with in the vacant lot next door to their house in Antioch. And his dad was a coach. He did Little League. He did all of that. He loved all sports, all athletics, but I have to tell you, we were talking about coaching one day and what it was about coaching that he loved, and he was telling me about it, and then he said, you know what, at the end of the day, my favorite sport to coach was basketball. And I said, you're kidding. He said, well, you're right down there in the thick of it. Well, I also found out that he got in the thick of it a couple of times, and he was unfairly ejected. Now, even though Al isn't here, his fan club is. His son Mike, his daughter Debbie had to leave, his brother Bob, and his sister-in-law Shirley. So his fan club still reigns. There's a side to Al that I want you to know about that was apart from athletics and how he felt about the kids. He was an environmentalist before it was cool to be one. He loved the outdoors, and this is where he was happiest. Whether he was out hunting and saw or got anything was secondary to just being out in the environment. Whether it was the woods and the areas around Fairfield or in the plains of Wyoming, which he loved, and I walked out with him on some of those times, which is also an amazing thing to do. Always a teacher, always explaining everything we saw. But whether it was a duck pond or the woods, whatever, he had tremendous respect for the animal and for the habitat. And that is what he tried to instill in the students that he had in hunter safety. It's not about killing, it's about respecting and being a responsible hunter. And I think that attitude carried with him in the rest of his life too. To me, he had a very big personality. It could go big in both directions. So when I have to kind of chuckle when Yvonne said he could be very quiet and non-confrontational. Well, I think we've all seen the other side of that. Don't cross that line. But to me, he was gregarious. He never met anybody that he couldn't talk to, whether it was on the plane or in the infusion room. He always could carry on a conversation. He was very generous. He was a mentor. He was always a teacher. He was a very, very good gardener, and he was a good builder. If I happened to say, I think I would like, gosh, he was in the garage. He had every tool craftsman ever made, and he made whatever he thought. That's the operative word. Whatever he thought I wanted. And it was a Venus and Mars thing. So the other quote that he used to say a lot, he was a real fan of John Wooden, and he was very respectful and appreciative of his coaching style. And Al said the favorite thing that John Wooden used to say was, play to win, don't play not to lose. And I think he carried that philosophy with him in the other things that he did. He certainly carried that with him throughout his battle with cancer. And even though he's passed away now about almost 2.5 years ago, he is forever with us, and he is deeply missed. Thank you.
We're done with our individual athletes portion. Our individual athletes for 2019 have been inducted to this point. Now we're getting to part of the program that it gets a little bit special, right? Every year we induct some individuals whose individual effort is being applauded and awarded and honored. And then we decided a few years ago that we're going to honor a community contributor. Okay? Not specifically a coach, not specifically a player, but a community contributor. Someone whose impact went beyond the field, pool, court, track. And some would say that's the glue. Okay? That's the real stuff. Because all of this is fine and dandy, but it doesn't happen without support. And so she's already been mentioned by everybody. That I think every single person that came up here has mentioned this young lady, and it spans from 1979 to 2007, right? And the consensus is she's amazing. Whether it be as a Spanish teacher, whether it be as a swimming coach, statistician, therapist, chef, dessert maker of wonderful goodies. It's just, I'm just gonna tell a little story, and then I'm gonna bring up someone else to bring her up. Okay, it's kind of a 3-tiered thing. I was in a really bad car accident in high school. Okay, like life-threatening. Woke up in the hospital 3 days later type thing. 2 or 3 internal surgeries to make sure my stuff works, and just bad business. Lost some scholarships. It was not a good time in my life. Okay, but I'm going through different things, kind of putting my life back together, and Willie mentioned the towels. She made towels. She made a whole bunch of things. But 2 days before my accident, she made keychains. I had a keychain. Yes, it was a silver keychain with my number on it, and I just got a car, and and all this stuff. And so I'm going through all this stuff, and I broke my keychain in the accident, and I was more upset about that than the car that I totaled. And I know, a 17-year-old, you like priorities, but that's not the story. The story is that I'm laid up for 3 weeks. I can't go to school. I can't leave my bed. Without even asking, Miss Moore brought me my homework every day. I'm being honest. Like, I'm just saying, I couldn't eat the snacks, so she would have brought me some snacks, but I couldn't eat at that time because I had surgery. But without even making sure that I didn't fall behind in school, coming to see me, I mean, yes, we lived pretty close at that point, but I mean, how many teachers do that? How many teachers do that? They come to your house and deliver your word to you, and I've never even taken her Spanish class. But because I was a member of the community, the love was there, and it was constant, and it was never asking for anything. And I was talking to a bunch of people about this, and they all had the same thing. Like, she never asked, I've never heard her ask anyone for anything. Like, unconditional, by definition, is the type of love that she gives. And it's love. Because when you're talking about feeding people, when you're talking about making sure that people have what they need, when you're talking about being there to support them, win, lose, draw, before school, after school, 30 years out of school, right? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't stop. And like I said, I've only seen Fred like 5 or 6 times, right? But he is the man because he understands how important she is to the rest of the world, and he shares her with us, and that's a big thing because without support, where would we all be? So I'm going to bring Dr. Aaron Vines up to the podium to help with the induction.
All right, this is good. I'm seeing referees and old coaches. And, congratulations to all the inductees. It's been a blessing just to sit here for a few minutes and hear a little bit of Coach Pittman. He was my first basketball coach who told me, he said, oh, you can't play. Call me in his office. You can't play. You have a 1.0. And I was like, whoa. I said, we have to get grades. But one of my he said, you're still a freshman. No, I'm joking. That's a joke. But then one of my grades didn't come in, so I was actually eligible. But I'll never forget that. But before I talk about Mrs. Moore, I just wanted to honor all the other inductees, and in particular Coach Pittman, because he was an excellent coach. He was actually one of my favorite coaches because I learned a lot, and it was surprising to hear that basketball was his favorite sport to coach because I didn't think so because he was a baseball guy. But about 33 years ago, I think it was, we were at a group of us, some of us who were back there, were at Dover Middle School, and we were playing basketball like we did all the time until it got dark. But one day we were playing, I remember Ray saying, "That's Mrs. Moore over there, that's Mrs. Moore." And the way he talked about her was quite amazing. I mean, he got our attention. He was talking about this, his teacher. What was so interesting about a teacher? He was like, "Hey, y'all, she's coming to Fairfield. If y'all can get her, you need to get her." Okay. That's right. And it was because of Ray. So Ray was saying it. So we were looking like, who is this? Who is this? And there was this beautiful little girl with pigtails. And she's right there. Danya was a baby at the time. And anyway, the way Ray talked about this teacher, I had never heard anyone, I mean, how often does that happen where you have a high school guy, we were 10th grade, I think it was, talking about a teacher, and you've got to take this teacher, she's amazing. So as soon as school hadn't even started yet, so when school started, we went to the counselor's office and said, we want to get the whole basketball team almost. We want to get Mrs. Moore. We want to get Mrs. Moore. And she did. She put us, Mrs. Moore had almost a whole team in her classroom. And we certainly challenged her. She wasn't used. So we thought. She has a lot of tools in her teaching basket, but we certainly challenged her. I remember the first time when we had a test, a 3-part test, and I happened to get all F's on the test. And Tony all of them was laughing at me about how I was getting F's, and Miss Moore started crying. She started crying because she cared. She cared. I wasn't the only one with F's, but I had the most because of the 3-part. It was a 3-part, and they were joking. Oh, Aaron got Letterman, 3 F's. And I'm kind of laughing. As we do as kids, I'm laughing, thinking, "Oh, this is funny, ha ha ha." And Miss Moore is sitting in front of the class crying. So I prepared you all. I did everything I was supposed to do, and you all are not studying. So she didn't throw in the towel. She told us, "Okay, this Saturday, you all are coming to my house, and we're going to study." And we went to her house, and I have to say, I ended with an A in that class, and I ended up getting good grades throughout that semester. in her class and a few others at times. But it showed her dedication as an educator. It showed her love as an educator. She knew that we didn't have much, so she would create these little jobs around the house. I need someone to paint my stairs. Or I need someone to paint this, do that, and give us a little extra money. And there are many meals she dropped by many of our houses, and sometimes it was our only meal. And sometimes we look forward to it. And that's real. I can't tell you how many times that particular meal was dinner. When I think about it, I get a little emotional. One time I told Miss Moore that, she said, I didn't know. And I was too embarrassed to tell her. But I know if I would have told her, I would have had a full meal every single day if I would have told her. Those that go through that sort of thing, it's kind of embarrassing. You don't want to talk about it. But Miss Moore was always there, always loving. I can remember at a retirement, I remember saying the same thing. All of us think we're the one, like Danya, she knows she's the one. I think I'm the one. Ray thinks he's the one. When Ray introduced, oh, that's Miss Moore, that's my teacher. He was the one. Well, at her retirement party, it was so amazing to see everybody feel like the one. And that's a true educator, to where you have someone who can make everyone feel special, make everyone feel loved, taking people their homework when they're not even in the class, going the extra mile. She's got a lot of blessings from God because of what she's done. She has definitely been an angel to many of us. I also want to talk a bit about me being an educator now. I learned so much from Mrs. Moore that it made my career different because I was able to address education itself from love, from a caring way. And that's all Miss Moore ever showed, is love, caring. Anybody that knows her, it's just how it is. So I was able to take that as an educator, at least I try to, and pass that along as I continue on. I know Danya is the same. I read some of Danya's work, and I know some of her students, and she carries that same gift where she loves her students. She goes above and beyond to teach, and it's just such a blessing. But, and I don't want to go too long, but I want to go back to that retirement party. I never in my life sat there and listened to, from generations from Walter, I think he opened up Fairfield High School. Is that right, Walter? Walter, by now Walter really knows he ain't the only one. After all these years, he's like, oh, I'm sure Walter thought he was the only one. But at that retirement ceremony, everybody was just telling the stories about the work that she does. Most of us in our careers, we can't do that. We can't do one of the stories, but she has so many. Now, as far as a contributor to athletics, Miss Moore has probably put more miles on her car going to games than anyone I know. I know there were times going to games where she was our parent that night. She was mine, going down on senior night. She's done that many times. For those of us that don't necessarily have someone there all the time, she's there, consistent, and always been that way. But more as an athletic contributor, her work at Fairfield High School and at Solano College, it goes beyond the scorer's table. She knows the players, she loves them, and that's why I love her, because of what she's done for this community and what she's done for me. And yes, Mr. Moore, thank you for sharing her for so many years. And Danya, you had to share her too. And I know we weren't always that fun and all that exciting, especially when we were in high school and probably didn't have the best hygiene and all that. But come give us a hug, Danya, come here. After playing basketball. But thank you for sharing your mother and your wife. It's meant the world to me. Ms. Moore, I love you to death. I know you know that. I love you so much, and I thank you for what you've done for me. I'll always be in debt, not just for me, but the community and all my brothers. And I know it's not just the boys' basketball team; it's the women's and the girls, and it's all the sports. But we think we're the one. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. First of all, I'd like to say thank you and how proud I am to be inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame at Fairfield High, particularly with this group of athletes. I'm truly honored. Watching Junior Nixon run and score touchdowns, or Nick Bolligod hit for extra bases, or Heather Grayson throw out somebody at second base, or Gary Miller blow people out of the water in the sprints, or Chantel Brown run like the wind in the 400. You always brought it. You were amazing, and those are memories that I will always have. Of course, working with Al on the table was amazing. Al Pimentel was more than an announcer at basketball games. He gave you who scored, he gave you assists, he gave you rebounds, everything you wanted to know, but just did an amazing job. Teaching is a labor of love. Subject matter is what we're hired to teach, but it's really not the most important thing that good teachers do. I had a PE teacher in high school called Miss Melcher, and she played field hockey. And one day she said, it was a Friday, and she said, I'm playing over in Winnetka, and I'm going to be, playing field hockey, and I'm going to give extra credit if you come to my game. Well, heck, who turns down extra credit, right? So my mom and I went over and watched her do her thing, and I was really impressed. I mean, she was really good. And so I saw her in a whole nother light than I had in class. So I decided that when I got a teaching job, I would look out at my students and I would say, you know what, there's more to these students than what I see in this classroom. There's more to them. And so how could I find out what they were really like? Well, I could go to their games and matches and meets and concerts and plays, and then I could see where their heart really was. And so and they could see me as a person as well, just like I had seen Miss Melcher. Over the years, I was asked to walk with football and basketball players on senior nights. I fed students who otherwise wouldn't have had any lunch. I drove students home from games when they didn't have any transportation. I even drove Demario Warren to the University of Oregon when they were recruiting him. That was interesting. We stayed with Reggie Jordan, by the way. Okay. Anyway, I started Almost Anything Goes teams for people who weren't on any other team. And I was even on an Almost Anything Goes team for a number of years. And through all these experiences, I found that the most important thing was relationships. These students became like family. I believe that you reach out and you support positive things that they're doing. I appreciated the hard work that they put in after school hours in things that they love to do. And I was glad to have the opportunity to see these rewards of that hard work and support their efforts. There are some few people that I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank Stan and Shirley Cordy for introducing me to high school athletics in Fairfield. They truly showed me how much fun it was to be involved in active and after-school activities. They took me to basketball, baseball, and football games that Mike was playing in, and it started my high school scorekeeping career under the watchful eye at Hopkins. Thanks to Ray Porter for introducing me to Aaron and Tony and Mike in my class and other people who dropped in. Terry. I truly, in fifth period, I never knew quite who was going to be in. It wasn't, I'd had, 33 regular kids in there, and now there were probably, coming in and out, at least 4 or 5 other players or one thing or another. And it was just the way it was. And they were never a disturbance. It was never an issue. I never had to say, hey, that's enough. It was just natural. It just happened. Ray, you will never know what you started. He was an excellent student of mine in 7th and 8th grade at Sullivan, and that was the beginning of a lasting relationship. And Ray, you certainly are family. Thanks to Aaron and Tony and Terry and Richard. You will always be the boys, no matter how old you get, and you will always be referred to as the boys. I can't tell you, words do not express my deep fondness for each one of you, and I just love you with all my whole heart.
Love you too. Love you too.
Thanks to Walter Cody for all your support and friendship over the years. You have done amazing things in your life. Thank you to Pete Sacco for choosing me to be an official scorer for the Saco Kings section for over 20 years. And for asking me to work at the state high school basketball championships. Being able to work with the Calhouns, with Sandy, and the whole Saco team has been an incredible experience. I'm truly honored. And you and Barbara are definitely family. Thanks to Alonzo Maxwell, Jay Almstrom, David Cooley. These gentlemen are the best of the best. They are officials who are incredible and make my job so easy on the scorer's table. They're the people that when you see them come into the gym, you go, yes, because they're that good. I am so honored to have you here. You guys are family.
We love you.
Thank you. Thanks to Coach Thompson for always having confidence in my scorekeeping ability. It was an honor when he asked me to teach Christy how to keep score. And if you look at my book and her book, you can't tell the difference. I miss him a lot, but he always is in the back of my mind with some funny saying or other, like doesn't know his butt from third base or things like that. That's my favorite. Thanks to John Nagel for giving me the opportunity to work at the college level and have my dream job. You'll never know how much I appreciated being able to help with the academic progress of the basketball team. Thanks to Roe and Mary Davis for being such great role models and coaches in swimming and water polo. I learned more from the two of you about coaching than from any other swim coaches that I worked with. Your attention to team unity was unsurpassed. You will always be family. Thank you to Sherry Patterson, my partner in crime on the scorer's table at Fairfield High. She is absolutely incredible, and I think we had the best table in the section, but I'm a little biased.
You did, yeah.
Thank you to Eddie Wilson for being so well organized and allowing me to work the table at Fairfield High. There are so many things that I appreciate about you. Your work ethic, your attention to detail, your sense of humor, your thoughtfulness. Most of all, I appreciate your friendship and the way you have allowed me to be part of your family. Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you to my mom, who set a great example for me on how you support someone. She was always there at my events and concerts and plays and I wanted to do my best when she was there. And so I thought that was what every parent should do. So when there weren't people around, that was my role, and that's the role that she taught me. So I hope I've handled that well. Thank you to my husband Fred for letting me be the person that I am. You've never complained about me being gone. You've never complained about me being gone 3 nights a week keeping score during basketball season or being gone to swim meets when I was coaching. You always knew that I was happiest when I was active. Thank you to my grandson Xavier for reminding me of the joy of playing. I love to watch you in action, no matter what sport you are playing. You are an incredible athlete, but more than that, you are a wonderful teammate. You encourage others to do their best while always giving everything that you have to do yours. I look forward to watching you play for many years to come. I love you, Zay. Most of all, thank you you to my daughter, Danya. As an only child, you had more brothers and sisters than you ever could have imagined. I know that it was hard sharing me, but you never complained. You've always been the most important person in my life. Starting in 5th grade, when you were Xavier's age, you began your journey with Fairfield Athletics. You did towels and water for the basketball team. Remember all the tears that we shed at Arco after some of the losses that were close, and how painful those were. They were as painful as the plus sides were and all the wins were, but at any rate, the ones at Arco hurt. Okay, when I was coaching, you were right there, and when I was coaching swimming, you were right there in lane 1 with some of my swimmers, because it was more fun being in the water than it was sitting on the pool deck. By the time that you came to Fairfield High, you'd been in more gyms than most basketball players in the section. You could sleep with whistles blowing and horns going off and balls bouncing. You did stats for the team, and that was your first paid job. You kept score at track meets. You were on all the Almost Anything Goes teams. When we couldn't talk about anything else, we could talk about Fairfield sports. And now you are a teacher, and you have taken up the example that I said, being involved in activities. You do so much for your school, and your students love you for everything that you do. I am so proud of the mother and the teacher that you are. In closing, I'd like to leave you with these words. Extend to everyone all the kindness and understanding, and do it with joy. You all can affect someone's life in a positive way. Thank you.
If you have a pulse, that was emotion, and not in a way other than understanding that pretty much everything that was said about her was true. And the wonderful thing about her is that when you share those precious moments, whether you can't get out of bed, or whether you lost a loved one, or whether you drive 50 miles for 5 minutes just to be a part of somebody's life. All of those things are represented in Ms. Moore. And, one more time, a big round of applause. Okay, we're going to finish with the team. Every year we're trying to make sure that even though the Hall of Fame is littered with faces of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, however many people, teams are what make athletes. Teams. The better your team, the more you get out of it. You can be the best at whatever you're doing, but if you don't have a good team around you, then you're nothing. And I was able to see pretty much every game of this team. I was an 8th grader. I was a little guy. My brother played on the boys' team, and the girls' team was just as exciting. The only difference was the dunks. That's it. The execution, the defense, the tenacity, the crowd, the hype, everything else. And it's one of those things where, like, when you see it happening, you know it's great. The 1992-93 girls basketball team, all the records and all that stuff is all fine and dandy, but the way that they did it, the way that everybody knew they were coming and they still did it, the way that they were able to win the section title, the way that they were able to win the league title, the way that they were able to pack the gym and always deliver. There are a handful of Hall of Famers on that team already, and it's one of those things where we talk about dynasties. This was definitely the heart and soul of one of the best dynasties in Northern California girls basketball. And so at this point, I want to bring up Coach Brian Jones. And the entire team.
We're the last ones, and I promise when we get done, you're going to feel the best you've ever felt in your life. So it'll be time to go. So thank you very much. This is our 91-92 basketball team. Alan Jones, come on up. Also, please. Okay. I know we're almost done, and we've had. Where you want them? Where you want them? On stage? On stage. Come on up. Give him a hand, please. Thank you. Okay. First, I want to thank everybody who was here. Just like everyone else, we had such a great time back in those days, and the quality that's in this room right now is unbelievable. The people who supported us, the players, the coaches, the daughters, the sons, everyone who's here, it's just unbelievable. The times that we had at Fairfield High School. Ms. Moore, I want to thank you for all you've done for everybody here. And I got to tell you, Ms. Moore really loved winners. She loved winners, and she loved us a whole lot more once we started winning. She really did. She really did. And our team for 91-92 had a little bit of everything, including my brother.
That was my role. I was the guy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I was the guy behind the scenes. So I'm not used to this.
Yeah. So my brother was the assistant coach, and we had Size with Zarek and Vivi and Nikki, Sarah True, that was just totally intimidating. Zarek Gray was, from the time she was even in middle school, was just this devastating basketball player that never went anywhere without a basketball. Just loved the game, and very intimidating for us. We had some middle height people that could shoot the basketball. Amy and Lara and Rachel and all of them were just unbelievable. We had some little tiny people that pressed. Shirley and Karima just got after people wouldn't know. Unbelievably. For all that season, and I just want to tell a couple stories, and then we'll be done. A lot of times, teams like this are built off of things that go wrong, things that don't go right, and how do you deal with those kinds of things. When this senior class, which by the way had a 3.36 GPA overall, I believe. All the seniors went on to big time schools, and just they've done all kinds of great things. But when they were juniors, we were going to win our first league title. We were 2 games away from the season being over, and we had just played a game, and grades were due. So I had to do the grades and figure out the GPAs and all that kind of stuff. And in one particular situation, I made a mistake. I thought a person had a certain class, they didn't, or they did, or whatever else, and the calculations were not right. So this person was actually ineligible. So I played that person, didn't know at the time. She had already played a couple games. And I go to Miss Ricks when I realized my mistake, and I said, Miss Ricks, I made this mistake. It's an honest mistake. I don't know what's going to happen, but the person didn't play as much, whatever else. So what do we do? So she said, hey, we need to call down to the CIF office and do what's right and see what happens. So we both were thinking it's an honest mistake, so it shouldn't be much. Miss Rich was on the phone for 30 seconds, and they said, 2 games taken away. The 2 games you won, they're gone. So I was devastated. There was not much I could do. That day of practice, I went in, talked to the kids, said, look, I'm sorry, I messed up. We got 2 games taken away from us, and we're no longer in first place. We're a game out. So we played our last game, and we won. And Vacaville actually won the league. And in those days, in the first round, you could actually play a league opponent in the first round, which was kind of crazy. So our 2 losses made us play Vacaville. They were better than us at the time. We lost to them in the first round. So it was just devastation all the way around. So then we go to camp in the summer. And in the summer, we go to this camp, which is NorCal camp up in Columbia, up in the hills. Aaron Vines went to school up there somewhere. Where you at, Aaron? I remember how far away that was. Anyway, it's way up in the hills. Beautiful camp. It's where a lot of firemen are out there to put out fires. They stay there. There's a lot of basketball courts and stuff. So we're playing up there. We're playing a team called Franklin High School. Luckily, we got to play Franklin, and they were the number 1 or 2 team in our section. They were going to be that year. So we're playing Franklin in the gym, and we actually wind up beating them. And it's a very competitive camp, and had a championship at the end on the last day. So we're done with that game. We're proud of ourselves. We beat Franklin. So then I go over to talk to the camp director to tell him, hey, we won the game, so our record is now this and that. And he says, that's strange, Brian, because Franklin girls just came up and said they won the game. I said, you're joking, right? He said, no, they said they won the game. I said, okay, well, go ahead and erase it and put down that we won the game. He said, no, I'm going to leave it like this because they were the first ones to come up here and they said they won the game. True story. He left it like that. I told him, I said, okay, don't worry about it, girls. Don't worry about it. All we can do is win this thing and play them at the end. So we keep playing a couple more days, and sure enough, we get to play Franklin on the last day. Everybody's gone from the mountains because it's a championship game. Everyone's going back home. It's just us and Franklin. That's all there is. It was like 95 degrees. We beat the heck out of them. Okay, very good team, but we beat them again. And we didn't say nothing. We didn't say, we got you. We just got in our cars and went home. So then we get into the season. Now, we're winning some. We lost more than I thought we did. I thought we were really, really good. But we had 6 losses. That's a lot of losses for a season. But we're doing pretty good in the season. And then we are playing Vacaville High School again. So now our old nemesis, back again. Here comes Vacaville. So we're down by 1 point or something, and there's about 4 seconds left in the game. We run an inbounds play to get the ball. We get the ball into Nikki Adams. Nikki Adams, wide open lay. I mean, that was good coaching for me and Al. I mean, we did our job. We did our job. We got a wide open breakaway layup. She goes up for the shot with 2 seconds left, misses the shot. And I mean, it was close. There was nobody around. She misses the shot, so we lose. So we wind up being 11-1, but at that moment, after the game, Nikki was beside herself. She was crying, and we could barely console her. And I told her, true story, Nikki, God is going to give you a second chance. God will give you a second chance. I don't know where, when, whatever. It might not even be basketball, but you're going to get a second chance. So don't worry about this. This is water under the bridge. So we keep playing. Season's going. We finally get into the playoffs. And who do we play in the semifinals? Franklin High School. They're there again. They got size, they got speed, they got all kinds of stuff. We play them in the semifinals. So we're playing on this back and forth game, back and forth, back and forth. Gets down to the last 10 seconds of the game. And they're up by, the score was tied. Okay? So we run an inbounds play, get the ball in. And me and Alan did a good job again. I mean, we did our job. We got a breakaway layup again. So we go down the court. Who's to go to? Nikki Adams. She goes up for the layup. Girl fouls her with no time left. There is no time left in the game. CIF semifinal game. We get ready to go to the line. What does their coach do? Call timeout. Freeze the player. We come over to the bench. We sit down. Everybody's all, trying not to talk to Nikki, whatever else. I said, Nikki, God has given you a second chance. He has given you a second chance. Nikki says, I know, Coach. I know. She goes back out there. It's a 1-1 also. 1-1. How does that happen, Mr. Sacco? How does that happen with your referee? I mean, it's a game-winning thing. It's a 1-1. Nikki, the rules have changed. Thank you. Because of that situation problem. So Nikki goes to the line. Sarah's behind her. All the players are behind her, way back. We got to be off the line because there's no time left. First shot, all net. Ball game. Pandemonium. Parents are coming on the floor. Nikki's mom tried to pick her up and they fell to the ground. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. So we dealt with that. We get on the bus to leave the game. We're happy, but we still got one more game to go. And back in the day, I don't know if it's still this way, it might be, we played 3 straight games for the CIF championship. You didn't have days off. You couldn't really get prepared for the other team with practices or whatever else. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, done. So we get on the bus on the way home, and I'm sitting next to Kareem Wallace, and Kareem says, "Coach, don't worry about tomorrow." I said, "What's that mean? You gonna come, right? You showing up?" She says, "Yeah, don't worry about tomorrow. I got this. This is CIF championship game. We've never been to CIF. What are you talking about? We got this. I'm gonna take care of everything." In that game, that little 4'1", whatever she is, she took that game and was the general of all generals and just took every minute and just controlled that ball game. And me and Al, we did our job. We just sat back and watched. We just sat back and watched. And we win the game by, 10 or 14 points going away, and we win the championship. And that's who they are. They were smart. They worked hard. They worked together. They had fun. They're the first. They're the first Fairfield High girls basketball team to win league. They're the first ones to win CIF championship. I believe they might have been the first basketball team at Fairfield High School to win a CIF championship. They just did all kinds of wonderful things, and I'm very blessed to say you are in the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.